Okay, theoretically, we're working here. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, it's working now. Okay, so find the p-value. How do you find the p-value of a t-test? And what was the question you should be asking yourself when you're finding your p-value? Yeah, is it one-tailed or two-tailed? That's a good question.
Two-tailed.
It's two-tailed, right? And then what question should you ask yourself after you know that it's a two-tailed test?
What was that? What you asked?
See, I thought you guys were listening.
I was listening.
I was listening, but you got to repeat it because I wasn't listening.
My apologies. I'm obviously not the only one.
What would Rick do?
How
How did you guys not know that question?
Like I said, I didn't hear.
All right, so what would Rick do? He would draw a picture. What am I drawing a picture of? Bell curve. What kind of distribution is this? Is it a T or a Z? T-test. What's the mean of the T? 0. Okay. Am I doing a one or a two-tailed test? I'm doing two-tailed. Okay. I want the area in both tails, right? So now I got a score of negative 1.43. So this is the value I got, right?
Right.
So what else do I want to know? What's this value? Positive 1.43 because it's symmetric, right? It's a lot better than that darn chi-square test, right? Okay, so how do I find that area? If you were Bill Gates and you wanted to find the p-value,
Would we do t-dist dot two-tailed?
t-dist dot two-tailed. Let's see if this doesn't freeze up on me again. All right, so we're going to do t dot dist two-tailed.
Does it have to be a positive number? Or can we take
Oh, he remembers that it has to be a positive number. Very good. So I'm going to put a negative here because I got a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive, right? Comma, degrees of freedom. 13 degrees of freedom. So I got 0.1749. What is the next step? Oh, by the way, how would I do this if I were using the table? So that's the computer method. Or the table, because the table is not going to give me a value, right? You guys remember that? So if I go to my table here, oh, please don't tell me I don't have Dropbox on this thing. Okay, then we'll do it this way. Here, I'm going to show this on here, okay? This is from my other class. Okay? Can you see that up there? Everything's backwards though, huh?
Yeah, backwards.
That's not very helpful. Let me tell you what. Let me see if I can get this table really quick. This is lame. I can get it, but it's going to take me a second here.
They can do it.
Okay, so Here's my t-table, right? Oh, that's horrible. Dang it, I should just download it. I thought that would actually be useful, but it's not. No, I'm sorry, this is so slow. We should have picked the other room. Hurry up, refresh.
I have a question.
Okay. What's your question?
On this test, we have confidence intervals, the t-test and the chi-square test.
And the z-test.
And the z-test.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we go. So I've got my t-test here. Okay, how many degrees of freedom am I using? 13 degrees of freedom. So I'm on this line right here. Okay. I got a value of negative 1.43, but I'm going to ignore the negative, right?
Right.
So where does 1.43 fit on that line? It's in between those two numbers right here, right? So that means it's in between those two numbers. So your p-value is between 0.05 and 0.10, right? So we got the p-value is between 0.05 and 0.10. We did it with the computer and we got a number greater than that. Why? Because it's a two-tailed test, so I got to multiply it by 2. So that means my p-value, I wrote that wrong, is between 0.10 and 0.20. Okay, and now it matches the computer, right? Do you see that? Tricky, huh? All right, now step number 6.
Reject or not reject.
Reject or not. We vote. Who says reject? 1, 2. Who says 3? Who says do not reject? Nobody says do not reject?
Wait, no, don't reject. Don't reject. I say don't reject.
Wait, shit.
I say don't
Did I
reject.
put my hand up? Did I put my hand up for reject? P-value's not low, so we don't reject that.
Yeah.
So you're changing your mind? Okay, so so who's changing their mind?
We're match pairs.
You're match. Okay. So the correct answer is do not reject. Because it's not low. Okay. Step number 7.
Write it out in English. This is my mistake.
This is your least favorite part.
These are the best parts.
Who would like practice? Ashley, how about you get the practice today?
Okay. Oh, this is the worst part.
There, I'm going to say is or is not.
Not rejected. It's not.
There is not evidence of who agrees with Ashley's conclusion?
We need to be.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Who disagrees?
We have to put RBCs in that conclusion.
Yeah, red blood cells. You should put that in there. Why do you disagree?
You should probably say something about what kind of.
Do you agree now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we got 3 minutes left. How would you like to learn the confidence interval formula? No.
This is the one that we don't.
Okay, so the confidence interval formula, let me stop sharing here. Okay, so here's your formula for your confidence interval. It's going to be x1 bar minus x2 bar plus or minus t sub alpha over 2 times the square root of s1 squared divided by n1 plus s2 squared divided by n2. Okay?
Can you repeat that?
It's x1 bar minus x2 bar plus or minus t sub alpha over 2 times the square root of s1 squared divided by n1 plus s2 squared divided by n2.
Can I ask what this equation is for?
For the confidence interval.
Yes.
Okay, so remember, confidence interval is another way of doing a hypothesis test. It's just a very different method. Okay, so
Confidence interval done before, so we haven't done it for t-test?
we haven't done it for, we should have done it for a t-test, but we're doing it for a 2-sample t now.
So this is just, okay, 2 sample t.
Okay, so using my information from my spreadsheet, I'm going to get 7.88 for the space rats, minus 8 and actually use all your digits. I'm just doing this because we're out of time and I don't want to write all the digits. Plus or minus t sub alpha over 2. Let's assume it's a 95% confidence interval. How do I find my t sub alpha over 2? Do you guys know how?
Wait. Oh.
Okay, I was busy writing. What was the, I can't listen to write.
How do I find my t sub alpha over 2 for a 95% confidence interval?
It's two-tailed when we don't.
All confidence intervals are two-tailed, right?
Right.
You're right. So we take our, whatever our alpha is divided by 2.
Our alpha is, in this case,
0.05.
0.05. Okay? We divide it in half, so we're going to use the 0.025 column. So we're looking at this column here.
Yes.
Okay? So, and we're looking at 13 degrees of freedom. That gives me that number right there. 2.160, right? So 2.160 times the square root of, and as I go back to my S1 squared, where is it? How many sheets do I got open here? S1 squared is 1.017 squared over 14 plus 1.005 squared over 14. Okay? So I'm going to do that super quick here. Confidence interval. So my t sub alpha over 2 is 2.160. Okay? I've got my lower, I've got my upper. It's going to be x1 bar minus x2 bar minus t sub alpha over 2, which is this number here, times the square root of s1 squared divided by n1 plus s2 squared divided by n2. So I get, change that to a plus, negative 1.37 to positive 0.276. So what we're saying here is here I'll just write it down here. We are 95% confident that the difference in red blood cell count on Earth and space rats is between negative 0.1375 and 0.0276. Now, let me ask you a question. Is this a significant difference? This is not a significant difference because okay, if we said they were the same, mu1 and mu2 would be 0, right? When you subtracted them?
Right.
mu1 minus mu2 would be 0 because 0 is not in the interval. Because as you look at these numbers here, is 0 in that interval? Yes, it's in between the negative number and the positive number. If they were both negative or they were both positive, there would be a significant difference. But since one's positive, one's negative, we're saying that there's not a significant difference. Okay? All right, we're out of time. See you all on Thursday.
So can you upload this?
I will upload this. Okay?
Hey, was this data real?
I don't know.
You made it up?
I didn't make it up, but I found it from another book. Here, let me stop sharing and I'm going to turn off my recording unless you want your question recorded. Is it worth recording? No, it's not? Okay.